Hi and welcome to the Social Commuter Podcast, the marketing podcast keeping you up to date on the go.
With your host, Georgia Smith.
And Eloise Fenwick.
And a special guest this week. How excited?
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
We're going to speak to the Fatima Khan.
And she's just fab. She is a LinkedIn coach. She's just a LinkedIn specialist. Don't know if she will call herself one. I bet she will. Deep down, she knows she's a specialist.
She knows she's a specialist.
She knows what she's on about.
She's fab.
We have known her for quite a bit now, chatting on LinkedIn, having a bit of conversation, and she will help you smash your LinkedIn. So
absolutely.
I'm ready to go speak to her.
So am I.
Let's go have a chat with Fatima. So we are now joined by the incredible Fatima, and we have a very exciting little episode even. So I'm getting carried away already. We have an exciting episode where we are talking about all things LinkedIn. Plus we've got a bit of personal branding, overall marketing, and it is incredible. So Fatima, thank you for joining us today. Do you want to start us off with just a bit about yourself, your backstory, and what you're up to now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, girls, for having me on this podcast, first of all. And yes, I've been very lucky with my journey on LinkedIn. I grew up to 40,000 followers in a span of 12 to 13 months. I generate about 500,000 impressions on a monthly basis, which is absolutely wild. But I'll tell you what, it took me 5 good months of consistent posting, regular posting to actually get noticed on the platform. Before that, I was hardly getting any engagement at all. Not really, getting noticed by anyone at all. But it wasn't until I realized that you require 4 key elements to really grow your presence on LinkedIn. So number one would be you have to realize LinkedIn is no longer a resume platform. It is a storytelling platform. So don't be afraid to share your human side. You can by all means grow a personal brand on LinkedIn only by talking about educational content, sharing infographics. But if you want a strong personal brand on LinkedIn, if you really want to connect with your audience, you have to take them on your journey. So it's really important that you're doing that. You're including some element of storytelling in your content. And the second thing is, which is an incredible growth hack for LinkedIn, is to have a community mindset. Even when you're sharing your story, you have to make sure there is some key takeaway for your audience. So make it about them, not about you. And this is something that a lot of people, I suppose, mistake in the very beginning of their journey, and that's a common mistake that I also happen to do at the very start. Once you realize that your content you need to lead with value for your audience, not really for yourself, that's when things will change for you. So it all has to be about your community. And then thirdly, this is probably the most important strategy, which I feel if I was doing from the very beginning of my journey on LinkedIn, I would not have wasted 5 months. And this is something that I recommend to all my clients as well. Even before you start posting content, start engaging in conversations. LinkedIn is a networking platform. So you need to find your network even before you start building your personal brand. So start engaging in conversations that you think you can make, you have a contribution in. For instance, if you work in social media marketing, follow creators in social media marketing, see what they're posting, get involved in those conversations, leave comments. It is not only, for the effort of building a network, but it is also an algorithm-friendly tip. So the algorithm also rewards people who are active on the platform. You will actively get pushed by LinkedIn when you're active on the platform yourself. So it's really important that you're engaging and not only posting and ghosting. You have to make sure there's a two-way conversation happening. And then the fourth element of a personal branding strategy for LinkedIn would be to be consistent with your efforts. However, as I mentioned, I was consistently posting for 5 months, but it was not doing me any good. So you have to make sure that you're consistently putting in the right effort. So to stay on top of mine on social media, you have to stay on top of feed. So you have to consistently post content that is led by value. So there are 4 key things I would repeat, if I have to sum that up. It is that you're sharing your story, and you're actually sharing it for your community. So you're keeping your community in your mind, and then you're engaging with your community, and you're consistently showing up on their feeds.
Perfect.
That's
I
fab.
think everyone struggles with LinkedIn at the start, and I think there are some great tips and tricks to keep, stop stressing about it. That's the best way to explain it. So you have a business called LinkedIn Tea. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that before we get into the rest of the questions?
Absolutely. So Like I mentioned, I was able to get a lot of following in my first year of posting content. At the time, I was a 9 to 5er myself. I was a social media marketing manager for a pharmaceutical company. And since I started getting a lot of traction on the platform, I started offering my services to people who were struggling to grow on the platform themselves. And so LinkedIn Tea right now, what I'm doing is I'm coaching B2B founders to grow their personal brand on LinkedIn with my content strategy. You need to have a content plan in place. You have to be very strategic with what you're sharing. And then at the same time, I'm sharing my writing framework. So writing content on LinkedIn is very different to writing content on any other social media platform. You girls can vouch for it as well. So with but my offer is that I coach B2B founders on how to build their personal brands without wasting a lot of time, without wasting 5 months of their journey, essentially.
That's fabulous. Honestly, like the things you're talking about, like authenticity is key,
Yeah.
storytelling, as just saying, is absolutely amazing for social media. It's how we grow, how we build communities. Because again, a lot of the platforms at the minute are really focusing on community building, and that's something you've done absolutely fabulously. Like,
Very true.
we can't really stress it enough. And you've done really well for yourself. You're in Gaza Marketing's top 24 marketers to follow. You're in top 200 LinkedIn creators. Absolutely fabulous.
Amazing.
And so my first question is, what are your top tips for starting your own brand on LinkedIn?
Um, well, it requires a lot of effort. So you need to make sure that your effort is not getting wasted. Like at the start of my journey, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my presence on LinkedIn. It wasn't until I figured out that this is what I would like to get out of my efforts, and this is how these are the strategies that I need to have in place that will bring me close to my goal. So it's really important that you have a rough idea of what you want your efforts to lead you towards. So even if you don't have a clear goal at the very beginning, just have a rough idea as to what you want your content to speak about. What is it exactly that you want to get out of your presence on LinkedIn? It doesn't necessarily have to be getting clients. It's not only a platform for B2B founders who would like to find clients for themselves. It can also be it's also a platform to find a network of like-minded individuals. So at the start, for me, it was to find people who were in the space of marketing that I can connect with. And because I was working, like I mentioned, in a pharmaceutical industry, so 80% of the people in my company were sales representatives in the pharmaceutical world. I could not really find a common ground with them. I really struggled to have conversations at work with anybody really, because I was the only person in marketing and I was their social media marketing manager. So they were not speaking the same language as me. So I turned towards social media. I turned towards social media to find online communities. I turned towards LinkedIn to find like-minded individuals. So that can be your goal as well. And that's how I discovered Pretty Little Marketer, Sophie Miller. And a few months down the line, I discovered you guys through PLM community, and I'm glad I did. These are the sort of conversations that I want to be having. So any LinkedIn goal that you have, you need to have a rough idea what that is, so that your efforts are not getting wasted on the platform. So I think that's my number one tip. When you are leading with authenticity, when you're leading with a goal in mind, your efforts will definitely be reaping rewards.
Perfect. So we've spoken a lot about business and LinkedIn, and I feel like we just need to touch on it one more time. So LinkedIn Tea is obviously your business. It's incredible, and you are aiming to make this a 6-figure business, which congratulations, that's very exciting goals there. So what, in your opinion, is the secret to building a successful business?
Great question. So I think the secret of building a successful business is to be very, very, very focused in what you do. And by focus, I don't mean focused at work. You have to be very focused in what you're offering. So your offer needs to be very focused. And who is it that exactly are you targeting? You need to have a good idea about that as well. So all the successful businesses in the world are solving very pressing problems. So the number one thing you need to do is solve a painful problem. Uber is solving very painful problem of sorting out transport, a reliable service. Airbnb is solving a very painful problem of people who travel and don't want to spend a lot of money on hotels, things like that. So you need to make sure that you're solving a very painful problem for a very specific audience. And don't get distracted by shiny objects that might come along in the journey. So, for example, AngelList is a company that what they do is they let investors back up startup founders through investing in their ventures and giving them some stake. And there was this very interesting conversation that happened on Twitter between Cody Sanchez and the company, where she kept insisting that they can do so many things. They have all these investors in their portfolio, and what they could essentially do is they not only provide financial support to these startups, they can also provide them other services. But then that's when the CEO of the company stepped in and he said, if we kept on expanding our offer, we would have never hit our first billion in the business. So it's really important to be very focused in what you're offering and do not get distracted by shiny objects that might come along the way. There was a time when cryptocurrency was a big deal, and drop shipping became a very hot business idea. So a common mistake that I see people make is they start chasing trends and try to create something cool without really assessing the market. So just focus on solving one specific problem for one group of people, and you will be surprised by the progress that your business will make. I think that's really important. And secondly, in this digital age, you should consider building a personal brand. It can absolutely improve the story of your business, the success of your business. A great example of that right now is Molly May. She has only recently announced the launch of, she hasn't even launched her clothing brand yet, if I'm not wrong. So she has announced the launch of her clothing brand, and in 48 hours, she had about of 500,000 followers on her Instagram page, which is insane. So a lot of people would call that an overnight success, like 48 hours, that's 2 days, and you've already hit 500,000 following. But in reality, she has been building her personal brand for many years. She's been on YouTube for the last 6 years, and she's worked at all these really great clothing brands before, and she's documented her journey along the way. Now that she's finally launching her own business, we already trust her to be a person of an expert in the field that she's coming in. So investing some time or money, if you can't do it on your own, in building your personal brand can definitely make your business failure proof. Like it can actually make your business future proof.
That's
Perfect.
fab.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think what you said about Molly May is absolutely
So
spot
true.
on. Like,
yeah.
it's called Maybe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's actually going viral, and it's
I
not even
checked
been
this
launched.
morning, it's like 800,000 followers, and
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
Yeah.
she is just absolutely smashing that one. But
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And we do speak like all the time, I feel like on here we're talking about personal brand, personal brand. And we can't stress it enough. It's so, so important, isn't it?
It's incredibly important. So
Yeah, well, I have a question about networking. So as you've just slightly mentioned about the Pretty Little Marketer community, which we're in, and that's how we kind of met you. But so what do you do for your business with networking? Because we hear all the time that networking is the reason for success in a lot of businesses, actually. So how do you go about networking, and how important would you say it is?
The beauty of running an online business is that networking has become so easy. You can reach so many people online. That's how I discovered you girls as well. And I think it's so important to network. It's not a buzzword. It really makes a difference. But I'll tell you what, a lot of people overcomplicate networking. They find it so scary as a concept. And I'm saying that because I used to be that person. I used to find networking so daunting. And as I briefly mentioned, I was working for a pharmaceutical company where 80% of the staff were sales representatives. So we were not speaking the same language. And when I would go to my company networking events, I would feel so drained out afterwards. Like I would not feel heard. And I would not find people who would have, who I could have a conversation with in the room. And after the events, I would feel, like demotivated. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough to be in that room. But I realized I was just in the wrong room. I needed to find the right table for myself, and that's how I turned towards LinkedIn, and that's how I turned towards finding a community online. And you have so many options. There are so many people offering small group of communities specific to what is it that you actually have an interest in. And once I started speaking to those individuals who actually found value in what I had to say, networking absolutely became such an energizer for me, as opposed to something that I used to find so daunting and so energy draining. So it's a matter of finding the right people. If you feel you're not in the right room, just go and find the right room for yourself. And secondly, for me personally, I recently hosted a webinar series where I had the top 1% creators from the platform, LinkedIn. Yasmin Alec was there, Sophie Miller, the founder of PLM, was a guest on my show. And and you'll be surprised how I actually build connections with these people. What I would do is simply go and comment on their posts on every single day. And that's how I build a rapport with them over time. So networking, like I said, it does not have to be so complicated. It can be as simple as going online, looking up communities that you think are interesting, or go to the people that you inspire in your field and start having conversations with them. And if it doesn't really have to be, conversations in DMs. It can be as simple as commenting on their posts on a regular basis. Just try to build some sort of rapport with the people that you're interested in having a conversation with. And I'm so glad, like, I came across you girls as well. I love listening to your podcast because it's all about social media marketing. So these are the sort of conversations I want to have. So it's about, finding the right room, finding the right network, and definitely it will lead to opportunities. Since I used to engage with them on a regular basis, I was able to then call them on my show, expand my business opportunities for myself. So networking is definitely very important. You just have to make sure that you're in the right room.
I
Fully,
love
fully
that
agree.
advice. Make
Yes.
sure you're in the right room. I need to remember that. I definitely go to events without thinking about it sometimes.
Absolutely. I feel like we need a picture on our wall that has that as
Yeah.
a quote, actually.
It's
Like,
our new
that's
quote.
really
I
nice.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So your journey overall started as an apprentice. So you were an apprentice for a while before moving into HR and now into marketing, which we love a bit of
We
marketing.
love marketing,
So
as you can tell.
yeah, just a little bit. It's not that we talk about it every day.
Yeah.
But as someone looking into getting into a career in marketing, what's your advice that you would give to that person?
Yes, so I have lived many lives. I worked in HR for quite a while. I worked with amazing companies in the past. Eventually, I moved into marketing by doing a postgraduate degree. And this may come across as a hot take, a harsh truth, but from my journey, what I experienced is that if I would have traded that time that I did marketing is one of those fields where you do not essentially need a degree. And you can definitely land a job even without one. And if I would have traded my time in a postgraduate degree as opposed to getting experience in this field, I am sure my CV would have made a much better hire. So although I did a postgraduate degree in marketing and I was the first in my class with afterwards as well, I found it really, really hard to find a job in marketing. It took me a good 2 months to actually land an interview, to get myself in the right to to essentially get noticed by recruiting agencies. So I think in hindsight, what I would do differently is two things. First of all, you have to get your hands dirty if you want to work in marketing. Academics is not enough anymore. In fact, if you can skip academics, get experience straight away, it's better if you want to have a career in this field. And second thing would be that personally, in my experience, really, really helped was building a personal brand. So, like I mentioned, my 9 to 5 was not serving my networking goals. So, I turned towards LinkedIn. I turned towards building a personal brand for myself so I could connect with like minded individuals. And and it's when I started doing that, a lot of opportunities started to come my way. By building my presence online, I was not only positioning myself as an expert. So when I would then apply for job opportunities in the field of marketing, my profile was enough to pass me through the screening stage. So that really helped in that aspect. And then secondly, I was able to connect with so many people to really figure out what exactly in marketing is that I want to do, because marketing has a lot of marketing offers a lot of things. It's not only social media. You can be a copywriter, you can be an SEO specialist, you can be a branding expert that has nothing to really to do with social media marketing. um, so there are so many things that you don't figure out unless you connect with people who work in these jobs. So I would highly suggest getting your hands dirty, getting into the field of marketing, build your personal brand. You can also land freelancing clients that way. Just start posting online. If there's anybody who I can possibly work with. So even if you get some sort of experience, how little it may be, how small the company may be, that will be much more helpful as opposed to anything else, essentially, because I worked for a Fortune 500 company before, which was in HR. Since my experience was not in marketing, it did not help me in any shape or form once I graduated. So I would highly recommend building a personal brand and connecting with people who can probably refer you in the future. What do you girls think in this? Actually, I would love to hear your opinion on this as well.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, neither of us went and did a degree in anything. We had A levels in business, and that's how we met, and that was about it. Instead, we just both worked on work experience and
Yeah.
getting jobs to do with marketing and then
Exactly.
freelancing. So,
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken to quite a lot of our guests about going to university,
Yeah.
and there's definitely like a mixed opinion, but I think what you're saying is basically the gist
yeah,
of
it is
what
the
most
gist of
people are
what most
saying.
people say.
I've even worked with some of the top marketing companies in the country actually, and their CEOs have said to me like, there's no point in going to uni because, like, as our podcast is about, social media changes every single day.
Yeah.
Marketing changes all the time. Like, there's nothing in a degree that they can keep up to date with as much as the actual industry moves. So there's a lot of feel around it's outdated, and an actual career in marketing doesn't actually need it. It's more about experience and adapting to the current environment. But I know we will have a few people watching who are thinking about starting a career and how to go about that. So I think that's a really, really good advice. I also know there's a lot of apprenticeships in it, like in all fields, like as we know really well at the moment. But there are quite a lot of apprenticeships in marketing for people who are looking to get into it.
Well, look at them. They're always great, apprenticeships are.
Exactly. Or even actually, I find like we both started our career kind of doing like small kind of campaigns for local businesses around us. Which is, I think, is always a good way to start, like helping other people out kind of thing, just to build up your portfolio and your experience. And you can set up a little business as we did, which we love.
Yeah, absolutely. What you girls did is what I'm recommending as well. Like, start small if you have to, but get some experience and just make an effort, create opportunities for yourself because it is tough out there in the marketing field.
Oh, yes, it's definitely a challenge.
It's so competitive, it's ridiculous.
It is.
But my next question is, obviously you're a LinkedIn expert. The lighting is really, really annoying me. I do apologise
today, but it's fine.
What is the optimum consistency for LinkedIn, would you say? I feel like there's so much debate around this.
Yeah.
I love this question because I get this asked a lot. And I would say the definition of consistency is what we need to focus on. Because like I mentioned, I was consistently posting on the platform 5 to 7 times a week for 5 months, and I was not getting any results. I was not getting close to any of my goals at all. So first of all, I'd like to explain what consistency on LinkedIn could look like. Consistency on LinkedIn needs to be you need to make sure that you're following a schedule that you can commit to. Like I mentioned, the algorithm rewards consistency. It wants you to be active on the platform, but at the same time, it wants you to be engaging on the platform as well. So if you're only posting but not really engaging with other individuals on the platform, that sort of consistency is not going to give you any results. So a schedule you can manage needs to entail you posting that particular day, but also making time to engage on the platform. So if, for instance, you can do all of that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, go for it. If you can do that at 12 p.m., or if you can do that on Saturday and Sunday at 5 o'clock in the evening, do that. It needs to be a schedule that you can consistently show up on. So that's the consistency that I would suggest anybody to chase, a schedule that you can consistently show up to. However, that being said, if you need the algorithm to be on your favor on LinkedIn, and if you want some sort of activity on your platform consistently, you have to at least post 3 times a week. That's the minimum amount of posting I would suggest anyone who would like to see quick results and better results from their efforts on LinkedIn. And then secondly, I would recommend having a fixed schedule. So dedicate your days of posting. You consistently post on the days that your audience can expect you on. If you take out all the big creators on the platform, they have a very fixed posting schedule. So you can expect their content on your feed at a particular day, at a particular time. It will not be every single day, but it will be at a fixed day, at a fixed during a fixed time of the week. So that is a sort of consistency I would recommend anybody to chase, and make sure that you're active on the platform at least 3 times a week for 1 hour at least. So 3 hours in a week is not that big of an ask, in my opinion. And yeah, so 3 times would be better. But obviously, if you're posting every single day, that's going to bring in more followers, more reach. The days I don't post, my follower count drops by 50%. And obviously, reach gets impacted as well. So if I'm getting 100 followers every single day, the days I don't post, I'm getting 50 followers a day or less than that. So the difference is definitely there if you're not posting. However, 3 times a day is something that you can manage and you can, you grow your business with.
Absolutely. I think
Perfect.
it really shows that.
It does show. There's a
Yeah.
big impact when you don't post or when you're not posting as consistently. So while we're talking a little bit about LinkedIn, what is the secret to building an engaged following on LinkedIn? What, in your opinion, is that secret?
Well, I have a lot of engagement strategies, honestly, that I teach all my clients. But my number one engagement strategy would be that to get more engagement, you need to give more engagement on the platform. Like I mentioned, it is an algorithm friendly tip. So when you're active on the platform, LinkedIn is going to reward you like any other social media platform. When you're active on their platform, they reward you by giving you extra reach, by putting you forward in front of profiles that may be interested in what you have to say. And then, secondly, it's the principle of reciprocity. When you engage on other people's posts, they're likely going to see your profile, and then they're going to see what you have posted as well and give back to you in terms of engagement back. So it's not only a great way to build a network, show up on, get more eyeballs coming on your profile. If you're engaging, you're actually starting conversations and letting people know who you are. And then, secondly, why that's really important is that so for example, you're posting 3 times a week, so that is you coming on people's feeds at least 3 times a week. However, if you're commenting 20 times a day, that means the chances of you getting seen, you being on people's feeds, has now increased by 20 times. So this is why you need to consistently engage on the platform to get noticed, to get more eyeballs coming on your profile. Therefore, you when you have profile views, you will obviously have more, at least more rate of success in terms of getting engagement back. Another engagement strategy that I recommend, and I think a lot of people fail at, is when they are posting content on LinkedIn, they're not really making it engaging for the audience. It may be a very high valuable post. So, for example, I'm a recruiter working in biotech. I'm recruiting people in this space, and I post 5 tips on how you can land jobs in this industry, which is great. It's a post that I would probably save if I'm applying in this industry and I want opportunities coming my way. But there's really nothing that I can add to it if there's no question at the end of the post, if there's no suggestion of engagement. So this is something that I call to engagement. You need to make sure that you have that towards the end of every post that you make on LinkedIn. It needs to be on every single post if you want engagement. And obviously all of us want engagement. When you get engagement, you get more eyeballs, you get more reach, and your post gets pushed. So a call to engagement, for example, on that post would be, are you looking to apply for jobs in this field? It could be as simple as that. Whatever call to engagement statement you put on your content, it needs to be something that is very simple to reply to. It takes 2 seconds to think of an answer. You don't want your readers to spend a lot of time in coming up with a statement, in coming up with a response. And call to engagement is actually a really good sales tactic that I suggest to my clients as well. So once they have mentioned that yes, I am looking for jobs, or I might be in the future, they are a potential client, you can now reach out to them in their DMs asking, see, you engaged on my post, you are looking for jobs. I just wanted to introduce myself in the future if you need my help, because I help recruit people in your industry and things like that. So call to engagement is not only a tactic to get more people commenting, just spamming. It's also a way to really figure out who in your network is somebody who you could potentially onboard as a client in the future. So it's a really good way to, I think, be strategic with your engagement efforts.
That's
Perfect.
so,
It's
so
very true.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we were talking like earlier actually about Instagram comments on stories, and it's
Yeah.
so similar to what you're saying, because I think that feature is a really, really good feature, because you can comment on it and then everyone is also going to see your comment literally floating up their screen as they're watching the story. So as you're saying, like comment, engage,
Really
and you'll get
important.
it back. I love that like concept. It's a really, really
Wisdom.
cool way to put it, I think. My last question.
The last question.
Last question. is, so you're a LinkedIn coach. And I know a lot of people watching this are going to be looking at wanting a coach or like a business coach, LinkedIn coach, anything like that. So what actually makes a good coach, would you say?
Yeah, great question. So I have been fortunate enough to work with a lot of coaches myself. As a LinkedIn coach, my clientele usually comprises of coaches themselves, B2B founders, on the platform. And I have actually worked with three coaches in the past for my development, personal development. And there was this one person in particular that I found this person on LinkedIn, and I was quite excited to get on a call with him. I paid for his services even before, I had an introduction call with this person. And when I remember distinctly, I was so excited jumping on the call that, I have all these questions about my offer. So I wanted to refine my offer essentially for the platform. And when I jumped on this call with this individual, he kept trying to upsell his service. Like he was saying, all right, so this is your problem, but at the same time, this is something that I offer as well. If you're interested, maybe in the next call, if you pay a certain amount, I will give you 50% off. In fact, just, these are the sort of services that I can offer you additionally. Money was not a problem for me at the time. The problem was to get my problem resolved. So what he was not doing was he was not listening. So I think the most important aspect of a successful coach, of a good coach, is the ability to actually listen. You have to really understand what problem your mentee is facing. And the sort of work that I offer is one-to-one. So the problems will be different for every individual. So you have to ask the right questions and really get into what exactly is the pain point for this particular individual. And listening is key for that. You need to have the ability to listen to be a good coach. People will buy into your services. They will refer you in the future if you solve their initial problem, if you solve what they're in there, if you solve their immediate problems. So urgent problems is one I would suggest, that a good coach needs to solve, needs to listen to, and really then figure out how to, how to really make a person successful in their journey. So really, one thing is listening, and the other thing is to really root for the success of the people that you're teaching. You need to be in it for their success, not your own. So I think these two things are elements that I would personally look for in a good coach. What do you guys think?
I totally agree.
Fabulous.
Maybe we need some LinkedIn coaching.
I think we do. I think we do.
A lot of businesses that always say, oh, I just need LinkedIn help, and a LinkedIn coach. I feel like we've never really spoken to them before, spoken to a LinkedIn coach, obviously, until now. So
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. Okay, now this is the bit you've probably been dreading for the past 30 minutes. It's time for the challenge. We love the test.
We love the
a little
challenge. Yeah, we love a bit of competitiveness every now and then.
We like to see. Maybe we need to do a ranking board now.
No,
That's what
yeah,
we're doing.
We
haven't done one yet.
I'm pretty sure Nia Patel is still.
Yeah, I think our
with
first
6.
guest is still on number 1. But basically, as we always do when we have a guest on, you have 30 seconds to name as many updates, trends, basically anything social media.
Yeah.
So we have a little timer on my screen. So we'll tell you when to go. And then good luck is what we can say, to be honest.
Basically.
You'll be fine. So yeah, we will go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and go.
All right, so I'm going to name all the changes on LinkedIn because that's my expertise and that's what my newsletter is about as well. LinkedIn has recently launched a video feed. You can now post videos on the platform. You'll have a dedicated feed to view those videos. And I'm not sure if you have noticed this as yet because it's not available on all feeds. You now have video carousels on your feed, so you can swipe through videos as opposed to the traditional method of swiping up. You can oh, okay. And you can modify your post, and you can edit your post, and you can reschedule. Oh god, there's so many updates.
Okay, well,
There were a
that was
couple
the
at the
time, but they
end.
were good ones. You levered them out at the end. What was that?
There was at least like 3 at the end then.
5 then?
5.
We'll give you 5 because they were in depth and
That
they
was
were helpful. So
fantastic. To be
we'll take
honest,
5.
can we touch on a few of them? LinkedIn videos.
Yeah, LinkedIn
Fab.
videos are fab.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna. After this, we're gonna make a little video about
We've
what
decided,
we've been
yeah.
talking about.
So we'll tag you on LinkedIn, which will be perfect. But thank you so
Both have so much content or video content already. Start publishing.
We need to start.
We do.
That's why we need a LinkedIn coach.
Exactly.
But you are such an incredible guest. I feel like we don't talk about LinkedIn enough, and I feel like we never can talk about it enough.
It's one of those platforms that people either know a lot about or nothing about, I think.
It's not really in between.
So interesting to hear from an expert. So thank you very much.
That's what we like, a little LinkedIn expert. But thank you so, so much. Make sure to check Fatima out. We will link her LinkedIn below. She is just fab. As you've just witnessed for the past 30 minutes, incredible. How incredible was Fatima?
Fantastic.
She knows what she's talking about, doesn't she?
She does.
She just is amazing. And I mean, if you need a LinkedIn coach, she's the girl that we would recommend more than anyone. I mean, she's just fab.
The knowledge just like pours out.
And I feel like we need to rewatch and take notes.
Oh, I'm going to.
I think I'm going to as well.
Yeah.
You have to send me your notes. But I feel like we've learned so much. And that's always what we like when we have guests that teach us a lot of stuff about things maybe we're not the pros and the specialists as, but she's been doing this for years and she knows what she's talking about. So
exactly.
What an incredible guest. And we have our next few guests lined up, and we can tell you they are equally as good. We're going a bit global as well next time, aren't we? We're not sticking to the UK anymore. But thank you all for listening and watching as always, and we will see you next week. Bye.